With our lovely Lionsgate portal closing, we have some more for our 5D collective. So all of those of you who do want to implement mindfulness and mindsight alongside mindset, so you're self-aware and you're not scanning self and others in an effort to be yourself. You actively know how to be the Jacob personality, the objective. I'm me. I'm Ariel. I got a tail, Eric, and I got a father who, So when you can be yourself authentically, you seek, which means you admit not knowing anything. No, you know some things, you just don't know all things. So once you have cleared that slate, which we all can, so our implicit, explicit biases, they all get put aside. So once you become a somatic empath or a true spirituality person, so a 5D mystic, real mystic. For 5D people, 4D, they have Elsa mantles. We'll leave that alone because, they don't have this clear slate, so they have karma, which would be the self and others of them scanning. It's a long story, we won't get to it, but it's a non-integrated left and right mode. So the inner child doesn't come up to play, so they don't have an inner child adult. We do. That's why we have Krishna Lila, who says, wow, everyone is a part of me and I'm a part of them, so I'm going to be nice and share the floor, even if it's a 1-year-old with a distortion that they're not a good 1-year-old. So they feel defective and lose their voice, and actively then they give up their voice to Ursula, and then they have the 3-year-old with shame, and they continue to think that Ursula is actively helping them somehow. So that distortion, it's unfortunate, because from 3 then we go to 4 and 5 and 6, so that's, again, it's not fun. But childhood trauma survivors who are healed and healing, and good therapists like Patrick Tiahan, they help those people to know that the perception of yourself that was taken away from you, it can be healed because you can heal your childhood trauma. And then you come over here and do self-help. And it works because you want to. Not, I want to do self-help, I want life now. That's somebody who took sacredness in doing therapy and getting home to their self and then doesn't want to continue to be a grown-up. An inner child adult though. Okay, so we have fun. That's why the whole 3-year-old heart here shares all about it. We do have this truth that can imprint itself upon us because we do Dharma, D-H-A-R-M-A, for real, not pretend. There's copycats. I love when I see them. I spot them a mile away. Thank you, Sadhguru, for some of these quotes are from him. And so if you are really looking for truth, don't assume anything, just seek, which is what a 5D mystic and functional adult knows. So when we're engaging in conversation, we don't actively do this, let me tell you how to live life. Those are all Cuscos. And Cuscos are very uninteresting. They're all patterns, adaptive child pattern behaviors who make it all about their self. They already think they're right. No, they try to prove they're right or you're wrong, stuff like that. You don't take their side. They stand around with their leaders like Bravehearts. So it's like an Ariel who thinks Ursula has done her some favors, or those eels with Ursula. Okay, so here's where Jacob is the balance of Isaac and Abraham. Isaac is internally oriented. Abraham is other oriented. So when we have a person who does not have a 1-year-old who's securely attached, I'll know who they are because they won't like me unless I take their side, which I won't, and then I'll say, I'm a neutral person, and they'll say, I don't like that, and that means you don't take sides, you don't have opinions. No, I'm no biases of mine, my body and my subjective mind don't apply as irrefutable facts. The difference is I'm flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable enough to be aware of myself and you, and us not counting. And I don't use generalizations or stereotypes. That's for people who have their angry circuit on as safety behavior. They actively don't realize what studies are for. This is not to create generalizations or stereotypes, although I do know people do use them in that way. We use studies too. But I remind you, there's small samples, big samples. I don't know all the samples. Please don't actively do this flat line shit, because really that's only people who don't heal from trauma or trust breaks that want to use generalization. It's a cognitive style of thinking, which is found to have people stay more in their PTSD stuff. So anyone who's serious about mental hygiene or health for that matter, or mindset and using a actively really smart brain because you're mentally and emotionally intelligent, so it's really fun actually. Flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable. There's no blocks. You don't block yourself from anywhere. 4D mystics are still, well, I'm going to leave that alone. So when you have the capacity to balance out your left, the chit chatter of mine, and the right, that's yours too, but no, they're different. Mine is Maria's body, so everything that comes up, I can contain it, and I don't just contain it. I don't suppress my emotions. This is called, I have a restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, regulating human being here. And I can talk about myself in like this weird way, but I won't. When Sadhguru was asked, who's a deity out of all the Westerners out here? Darwin. And there are people who don't want kids to learn about Darwin. And I learned about God not in a way of being taught that I should remain ignorant in any way, shape, or form, or the medieval times. So as soon as I hear anybody telling me they know more faith than I do, I say faith is not a more or less. So proving spirituality is not really going to happen, because spirituality is in the invisibility plane. We already have sciences knowing this. The act of science is that 97% of what is out there is unavailable, which is why we have sciences going out of their way to use AI to now prove reality doesn't exist. So sciences doesn't mean much to some people. It means much to a divine feminine, because we know the real sciences, they respect spirituality, human beings, not because they believe, no, because they know that we experience, perceive, and tap into what is a relational field, what is a field that gets studied by physicists and scientists, and it's an intelligence, which is why when Sadhguru gets asked about Akash, he tells people to go to Google, and I laugh because no, we do have the capacity to do Akashic record readings. I do, your host and potential mentor for my one-to-one mentorees, and then the masterclass community as we grow, and spiritual retreat human beings who will come along, spiritual and not, so you get to learn from pseudoscience woo-woo lady. But back to us, being yourself. It's really easy for the ones of us who know Jesus. He welcomed us, and he was not welcomed by others in the way that actively, people are aware of. He was welcomed with mistrust, disbelief, fear, and non-acceptance. And there's this little parable that somebody read once where he says, I will turn your daughters and sons against you. I don't know if it's a true parable, because I don't trust the source where I got it from, because the esoteric lady is in a fourth dimension brain, so she's regurgitating material which I'm not sure of the whereabouts. So I have my trusted sources, and these would be all my masculines, the smart ones. And the feminines, they are not actively feminines until they are unconditionally loving, like Jesus taught me, and God. And that's not a race. It's a called. When Dr. Daniel Siegel come in, you have integration of brain, and so like I was saying, that your reality is subjective. So your thoughts, your emotions, I'm talking to you. I know Maria's, which is why I can easily put my stuff to the side. And if somebody says, I think you're a bitch, a witch, and you just offended me or whatever, it doesn't matter if they're serious or not, I'm going to pay attention, because I like to make sure that my herd members feel heard, because I'm a 1-year-old, 3-year-old, and I'm a 16-year-old, but I'm a grown human being who uses my prefrontal cortex. And actively, you're an embodied brain. So you wear your heart on your sleeve, no, on your face. Thanks, Stephen Porges. I will immediately be aware if you are doing the self-bridled expression thing or not, because the first time I will see if we want to chit-chat. By the second time, I'll notice if you're trying to prove you're right or wrong. By the third time, I'm going to know you just want the floor, so you want to give me your story. And then I'm going to know that I will not acquiesce, because I'm a Jacob, which is why you won't like me if you're looking for me to take your side, which then I know means you have a trust break. Whether it's big or small, it's called you have a childhood trauma charge. And if I don't nod my head, you'll say, why are you taking somebody else's side? And I will say, I'm not. But you're not, and I will explain myself. And if you allow yourself to be grown up, you're going to understand, and you're going to leave it alone, whatever it is, because you're going to know I have a subjective experience, so does Maria. And you won't be like, oh my God, I'm offended, I don't want to be your friend anymore. Okay, so good. I hope that you're understanding. That's what mindfulness, mindsight, and mindset can help anyone. And say, I don't want to do it, Maria. You won't want to come here. I mean, you will come for humor, but romantic relationships, yeah, they're even more than what you just saw, because I am a tail, a mermaid, you don't like it, I could cry about it, get angry, whatever. I don't actually personally get angry, because angry is about correction. Yeah, that part. When you actively are empowered, you don't get angry, because we don't affect states of consciousness. That's for a person to say, oh, look, I have a self. Let me be aware. Let me live true spirituality. I got a herd. So we will allow the 3-year-old to be seen, soothed, safe, and secure to be their self. If they project, we know how to catch it. It's Pacha, not Cusco. And so that's why shame, blame, fault, revenge, they don't actually do Lucifer anything. We don't blame anyone for anything. We actively know what adaptive child, maladaptive child behavior patterns are, and it's unfortunate because they want a hug, but that's for another day. So to be ourselves, functional adults, we heal trauma one person at a time. Relationship, because we're safe havens, secure bases within here, so we regulate our nervous systems. We don't project, and when someone's projecting, we'll make sure to have them be heard, and we will acquiesce to something of the sorts of, let's say bye, agreeing to disagree, okay, and that is how it's going to end in the best cases. Worst cases, they say, yeah, I don't like you, and you say, I'm so sorry, and it's always love. Tune in.